Welcome to Schweitzer Drive, a podcast where we explore what goes on between the generation of electricity and the light switch. Join Dave Whitehead as he interviews the entrepreneurs, innovators, and experts who are inventing the future of electric power.
Where would we be without the light bulb? This invention, and so many others it has led to, has helped electrify the world and shape our society. And that's just one example of life-changing innovation. Today, I'm excited to talk with someone who has a unique insight into these types of inventions and the brilliant minds behind them, Rini Paiva. Rini is the executive president of the National Inventors Hall of Fame, which was established in 1973. She's been helping the organization honor our nation's greatest patented inventors and has used their stories to inspire upcoming generations since 1995. Rini has also served as the faculty at Cuyahoga Community College, the University of Akron, and her alma mater, Kent State University. Rini, thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's fun to be here.
I've been looking forward to this podcast because you must have been, I can't imagine how many truly innovative people you've been able to meet in the position you have. So first, I learned about the National Inventor Hall of Fame when my boss, Dr. Ed Schweitzer, was inducted into the hall about 5 years ago. For those in the audience who may be less familiar, will you share what the organization's purpose is?
Yeah, absolutely. So the National Inventors Hall of Fame really started because we wanted to focus on giving inventors the recognition that they deserve. There's a lot of athletes and musicians and other people who get lots of attention, but we really wanted to focus on the people who change the way we live our lives, who have an impact on it. So, that's what we do. And as time passed, we also saw that it was very important to foster and encourage innovation in young people. So our mission has really grown. And so now we not only recognize inventors, but we hopefully inspire that sort of spirit in the next generation as well.
Yeah, I think your mission is really interesting. You just mentioned, there's a Hall of Fame for football players, for golfers, and now you made a home for people that have truly changed, not only the U.S. but the entire world with the creativity of their brains and their minds, coming up with new ways to do things, make everybody's lives better. How did you get involved with the National Inventors Hall of Fame?
So for me, getting involved with the Hall of Fame was kind of a unique opportunity. I really didn't plan on it. It was an opportunity to do something different. And I didn't necessarily intend to stay very long, but here I am over 20 years later, still here working with all the inventors and giving them the recognition they deserve. It's a lot of fun.
As the executive VP of the National Inventors Hall of Fame, you get to meet inventors from all different backgrounds, which sounds so fun. Will you talk about what that's like? Is there something all inventors seem to have in common?
Yeah, so I think you're right. One of the most fortunate things for me about working at the Hall of Fame is this opportunity to meet this vast variety of people, working with them, interacting with them, really learning more about them and their stories. And they're people like Ed Schweitzer, and so many more. And I think that they definitely do have characteristics in common. I think that most of the people who we meet and work with are all interested in solving problems. Definitely. I think that they have a persistence for pursuing answers. They truly have a desire to learn. And I think something else that's really important is that they have the ability to focus on a challenge, to see it through and figure out how to overcome it. I think those are some of the things that we probably see in many of the inventors we work with.
How do you guys go about selecting folks to be inducted into the Hall of Fame?
So we accept nominations from any outside source, and we do some internal candidate identification as well. We basically get all these candidates in, and we do a lot of time having experts in the field, people who who knows something about science, technology, etc. Look into them. We put them through a fair amount of research and vetting. And through that process, we create a short list of candidates. And then we put that list of candidates in front of a group that we call our selection committee. And again, these are representatives from national organizations, science, technology, engineering, math, intellectual property, all of these different groups. We make them all come together in one room, have a discussion for the day. And by the end of that day, they reach consensus on recommending a group of inductees for the next year. And we pass that recommendation on to our National Inventors Hall of Fame selection board, who then will ratify the final slate.
Is it a pretty straightforward process? Does it ever get contentious? Does it, we're right at college football playoffs time right now, right? And it's been very contentious on who gets in. And I'm wondering if there's not, or there might be something similar with your selection process and the committees.
Well, I can't
give a little inside baseball, I guess.
I can't give away all the secrets of the selection committee because it is confidential. However, I can tell you that no, it is not always straightforward. Some candidates are, they're very straightforward, and some there's a great deal of discussion. So no, it's not all smooth, but it's good. It's all good conversation. So,
oh, that's great. The ripple effect of invention is significant. Like I mentioned in the intro, the light bulb alone led to so many other inventions that really shaped our society. SEL, the company that I built my career at, probably wouldn't be here had Edison not brought his many inventions to life. Can you speak to some of the importance of invention and how we encourage creators to execute their ideas?
I think at the most basic level, inventions solve problems. And, some of the inventions that come about because of that are fun or are around for convenience. And some are truly life-changing. And as I mentioned, some even change the way we live our lives. And if you look at the history of this country, here in the United States, you can really see how it's progressed through the years. I mean, looking at what's happened in the history of our country, you can really see the evolution of innovation in America, right? And I think that you can look at something like the U.S. patent system and the patents representing different periods of time and really get a sense of what the country was focused on in any time period and how it was really looking at improving itself. We want to see here at the Hall of Fame that continued evolution of creativity, especially with the younger generation. And it's really important to us to encourage that, which we do through our Camp Invention education program. So I think, does that partially answer your question?
It does. And actually it makes me think of something else, which it was interesting, this evolution of technology or invention. How have you seen it progress over your 20 plus years is it shifted from, say, computer science focus or a biology focus, or is it just across the spectrum of invention, or how have you seen invention or technology evolve over your time at the Inventors Hall of Fame?
It's funny because in the grand scheme of things, a couple of decades, I guess, is not a very long period of time. However, if you think about the advancing state of technology, it is a long time. Even, a couple of decades ago, a lot of the inventions that were being really celebrated were ones that maybe had seen success after the war. So, there were so many innovations that came out of World War II, for instance, right? Mm-hmm. And it was really only after that time period that we really began to understand and see their worldwide impact. So you advance a couple of decades, to even the late 20th century, and certainly into where we are now, the 2020s, and things are different. We're looking at advances in, as you said, biotech, in pharmaceuticals, in computer science that we never would have thought of recognizing 25 years ago. So yes, it's this evolution of innovation in America, but you can also see over that time period just how much innovation is rapidly advancing in a way that it didn't, say, at the beginning of the 19th or 20th centuries.
Is there any invention or technology that, I don't know, say caught you by surprise or surprises you? It's like this came out of nowhere, or?
That's a tough question to answer because, we see inventors once they've made an impact, right? So we're probably familiar with their work in some way, but maybe what does come as a surprise is, well, two things. One is how excited people get maybe when they realize that there are inventions out there that they use every day and that there are actual real people behind them, that make them like a little bit more tangible and real. And then the other thing is the number of inventions that are out there where people have no idea about anything related to them, or the fact that there are, very specific people who created them. So, again, I'm not sure if that completely answers your question, but those are two things that always strike me.
Let me say that was really a dumb question, right? Because it's the idea that there's somehow these overnight success or these things that come out. That's probably not the case. There are probably many, many long days before the overnight air quotes success ever happened. So, as you pointed out, the I think some of the greatest inventors, Edison being probably at the top of the list, was all about grit and grind and taking an idea and figuring out, what do you say, 99 ways how not to make a light bulb, right? Before he actually got it right. So it's I bet you're spot on with these great inventors are so persistent.
Well, and I think it's interesting because I mentioned the education programs that the Hall of Fame runs, and I'm
just sorry to interrupt. Could you tell us what some of those programs are that you guys are?
Yeah, so our flagship program is called Camp Invention, which is an out of school time program for kids through K through 6, pre-K through 6, actually. It really introduces kids to the idea of exploring ideas and, hands-on possibilities. One of the things I think that's really interesting is through the education programs, like Camp Invention, one of the things that our education team has really been focused on is something that we call the I can invent mindset. And there are these different qualities or characteristics that are a part of that are really focused on in our education programs. And these are things like confidence, persistence, which I mentioned, design thinking. So, that evolution of how something comes about, innovation itself, problem solving. We talk a lot about intellectual property, just STEM in general. And, and the other thing that's very important that we talk about a lot is entrepreneurship. I think that's the key.
Are any of these programs focused on women? We've been talking on our podcast about how do we get more women involved in STEM activities. And you just said K through 6, which I'm sure is a great time to get young girls excited about math and science and invention and entrepreneurship.
And so one of the things that we are really aware of is that those young elementary aged years are a key time to really grab the attention of young girls and get them engaged, because we know as time goes on, those differences in gender interests are emphasized by society. And to be able to get them in a room with a bunch of other kids who are all focused on the same activities as them and make it safe and real and encourage, young people to know that this is something they can pursue, especially young girls. That's very important to us. So yeah, we think about that a lot in terms of encouraging young girls to pursue STEM careers.
Well, the Camp Invention sounds really good. I guess the only thing I'm sad about is you said it's capped out at 6th grade or something, and I guess I'm a little too old to go to camp this summer. Studies have shown that boredom can be a precursor to creativity. With entertainment so readily available in the digital world, is there any concern about creativity and invention decreasing? And I never thought I'd ask the question, is it a good thing to be bored, right?
That's something we've thought a lot about as well. This is really one of the reasons that we feel that invention education, the topic of invention education, is really important. We really want to focus on open-ended projects that really inspire, a natural creativity, right? Which is what we're trying to do. I think one of the important things to do is to try to figure out how to leverage the opportunities at hand, figuring out how to use something that's current and trendy to make topics like creativity and invention relevant to people. And I think that doing better and improving on what we have and what we do has been a constant, no matter what's going on in society, no matter what's going on in our culture. And so we're just trying to do our part to ensure that creativity and innovation continues to be present in future generations.
That's great. The National Inventors Hall of Fame welcomes new inductees every year. Are there any inventors or inventions from your time with the organization that have really stuck with you or inspired you?
Well,
I'm sure that's asking, hey, what's your favorite kid, right? And you're going to say, well, they're all my favorite, right? But now you can pick one.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Yes, of course, we always tell people that we don't play favorites. All the inventors have some aspect to them, right? That really stands out, some aspect to their stories. I will say that one of the things that strikes me is just how inspirational that any of the inventors can be, whether it's coming up with something like the microprocessor, which, by the way, was integral to the invention of the digital productive relay.
It was key to it.
Yeah. Or, the digital camera, or, the inventors of Post-it notes. Every single one of those has a fascinating story. For instance, when I first met Ed Schweitzer and learned about him, there were so many things about his story that were just so fascinating that no other inventor has, right? Every single inventor has their own unique story. And the chance to see the results in that particular example of his work, of his invention, of the results of his entrepreneurship with SEL, looking at a company like that with such an inspiring culture and environment, everything that you guys have around you, I just use that as an example of what we see in so many of the other inventors. So yeah, everyone ends up being fun and a surprise.
Well, that's a really good answer that didn't single out anyone in particular. So I am very impressed. Usually, did you have an idea?
Well, no, I was just going to add to that though. I was also going to say, I think one of the things that it's good to think about, especially for us, is thinking about inventors who are from different time periods. And I will single out an inventor here actually, because this is an example that we use a lot. I think it's important to us to think about inventors and their work in context to a particular time. So, for instance, there's an inventor whose name was Thomas Jennings. And Thomas Jennings, he's from some years ago, and he received a patent for an early dry cleaning method. Well, on the surface, maybe that doesn't sound very exciting, or it sounds ordinary, or it sounds like great. That sounds like a good invention. But I think that when you realize that Thomas Jennings was an African American living in New York City, and he was both a tailor as well as a hugely successful businessman, and this was all the early 1800s.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Exactly. I mean, it allows us to really see him in this remarkable light, and to know that he overcame so many societal odds against him to be a success. And actually, by the way, he was also a leader in the abolitionist and civil rights movements. And I should have mentioned actually that he's also known as the first Black inventor to receive a patent. There's not necessarily advocacy in different years and times for inventors like that. But when you take someone like him and really look at his story and put it in the spotlight, it makes it that much more impressive and, really drives home what a powerful thing invention can be.
That's That's a great story. And every time I hear one, I think, what am I doing with my life, right? I'm just sitting around watching TV or whatever, when these people are abolitionists and inventing stuff and great business people. They are truly, truly inspiring.
I don't know. I think you have a pretty impressive job. So I think you're okay.
Tell my mom, please. If people want to learn more about the Inventors Hall of Fame or Camp Invention, where might they go to find more information about this stuff?
Sure. To learn more about the Hall of Fame, just go to our website, which is just invent.org. It's very easy.
Wow, that's a great one.
There's information about all of our programs, and there's information about how to register for Camp Invention, which is right there in your area as well.
Rini, thanks so much for spending time with me. Hopefully one day I can be on this stage, but I'm not holding my breath on that. I got a lot more work to do, I think.
Well, that's okay. We accept nominations from any responsible source. So if your mother would like to submit one, that would be fine.
I'll let her know tonight. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure talking with you.
Great talking to you as well.
Thank you for stopping by Schweitzer Drive. Join us again as we learn about, explore, and celebrate electric power. For more information about the show, please visit selinc.com/Schweitzer Drive.